Let's get more on Nvidia and the chip space. Joining me now to discuss is Matt Bryson of Wedbush Securities. Matt, thanks for being with us. We know that Nvidia has this incredible advantage, this ecosystem. The question is, can it keep that dominance? What do you think?
I think it certainly can for the foreseeable future. So you head into 2025. I think the largest customers are all teed up to buy substantial amounts of Blackwell and NVL72 systems. Beyond that, of course, you always have to keep innovating, right? So there's a need to create more energy efficient chips. There's a need to create better chips. And so they'll certainly have to execute around that. But as we've seen in these industries again and again, one or two companies who establish a leadership position, they tend to hold that leadership position.
Right, and NVIDIA has done a good job of doing that and building out its moat, becoming more than just a hardware company. But, you know, over the last few weeks, we've been getting more on chip ambitions from the mega caps that could potentially put them, if not in direct competition with NVIDIA, perhaps reduce their reliance a little bit. What kind of impact do you think that will have, if any?
Yeah, you had Marvell talking about that 2 days ago, right? Yesterday, I'm sorry, at their AI event where they were talking about
and Google.
this custom chip build opportunity growing faster than the AI opportunity overall. I think NVIDIA is able to charge a premium for their product, and what the large cloud players have done consistently is they've built their own infrastructure in order to gain a cost advantage. So I think to some extent, yes, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Meta, they're all going to produce their own chips. They're going to be great for certain instances. Having said that, when you think about enterprises who want to use these products, they're bringing on people who are versed in CUDA. And so NVIDIA has made it easier for those enterprises to turn to NVIDIA.
That was Matt Bryson, Wedbush Securities Senior Vice President of Equity Research, talking about how the firm felt about NVIDIA and how they expect the company to stay on top for the next few years. It's important to note that Wedbush raised their price target for Nvidia stock from $850 to $1,000 last month, thanks to the great potential of the company's Blackwell platform, as well as the strong demand for its AI products. Aside from everything Bryson talked about, there's one more reason why investors should be extremely bullish on NVIDIA, and it has nothing to do with the company's chip business. That's what we're going to talk about now. But before we do that, if you want to keep up with NVIDIA's latest updates and keep up with the stock market's latest news, you can follow our Twitter account. We post multiple times daily about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates. Now, back to today's video.
Expect a rising tide to lift all boats here for companies that are leaders in the robotic space. And I would expect more M&A, more partnerships, and overall massive acceleration of interest in actual deployments of robots over the coming years.
Well, if that's the case, and we are early in the stages, I would think an annual rebalance would be way too seldom for a fund that needs to kind of keep up with fast developments. That would be my kind of 2 cents on that subject. Which funds do you think are doing a good job? What should we be watching? Any favorites?
Yeah, we've got our Robo Index, which is tracked with products globally. Companies like Bots and NAIQ from Global X offer kind of different approaches to getting access to the market. There's plenty of players there. Some people believe they have access to AI and robotics, for example, and other plays like the Qs or something. But it's really a much smaller portion, and you have concentration risk to those big players. So, if you're trying to actually get global diversification away from that, you might want to look to other products that are out on the market.
Okay. All right. Good, a couple ones for us to watch here. I like the thought about the sector being, including some of the kind of back of house mechanics that don't get as much attention. It seems like that's a theme maybe that has gone underappreciated so far.
Certainly. So it's kind of like we're going to see robotics as a space go from more of a picks and shovel to the modern world to actually becoming more products and services themselves. So there should be massive TAM acceleration and expansion over the coming decade as more use cases appear in services, production, healthcare, supporting the aging population. There's tons of drivers such as the energy transition as well. So you have this convergence and perfect storm for a really big growth story here, especially after what many have considered and pretty obviously has been tough year, trailing 12 months in the robotic space, with a little bit of overexposure overall in industrial markets to China. The reshoring initiatives have been a little bit slower to take off due to some regulatory and just piecing things together. So those are starting to clear up. Manufacturing and construction is at all-time high in the United States. And overall, we're starting to see PMI pick up, which supports the consumables angle too. Right. So overall, things are really in a strong position, but the market's still looking at it from a more traditional lens. For example, our robo index is still trading kind of at its long-term average of 3.5 times forward EV sales. So people are still looking at robotics from kind of just like the classic market analytics, and we expect, kind of similar to how Nvidia got morphed into an AI story. Robotics is the physical embodiment of AI and automation, and increasingly it will help build new robots, and it will help encourage the deployment. And it's like, hey, what's the best way to solve this problem? It'll increasingly be robotics. And we have a major labor shortage in manufacturing, logistics, and even healthcare. And we believe that there's regulatory support and just a dire need to get this. Larry Fink, for example, recently called out retirement and all these pain points with inflation and rising costs. And this is really the solution here. I mean, you can financially engineer and support it, but the other angle is just making the world a better place through more automation and improving the quality of life through adoption of these technologies.
Nvidia's CEO, Jensen Huang, believes that the next big thing for AI will be humanoid robots, which led Nvidia to unveil its Project Groot in the GTC 2024 event. Groot is an innovative general-purpose foundation model specifically designed for humanoid robots, and it aims to revolutionize robot learning both in simulation and the real world. Basically, robots powered by Groot will be able to understand natural language and emulate movements by observing human actions. You could say that Nvidia is right for betting on robots, as the robotics industry is poised to explode, and Nvidia, with its characteristic brand of audacious ambition, is ready to claim a big slice of that robot revolution pie. The global robotics market is expected to reach a staggering $275 billion by 2025, with annual growth exceeding 20%. And this growth is fueled by an ever-increasing demand for automation across various sectors, from manufacturing and healthcare to logistics and agriculture. If you watch videos of Nvidia's robots at GTC, or even of any other robots like Tesla's Optimus, you'd see that the robots are becoming more and more sophisticated per day, making them irresistible to businesses looking to boost efficiency and productivity. And since robotics, as well as AI technology, continue to improve, the developments could usher us into a world more concerned with making humanoid robots that can help humans with everything. That's the future Nvidia is trying to create. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Investocracy.
Well, how about Jensen Huang from Nvidia? For the last 5 days, we've had to hear about how major players like Amazon, Alphabet, and Meta are developing their own chips to decrease reliance on Nvidia, while Intel comes up with a competitive product. The news, let's put some quotes around that. The news has crushed Nvidia stock, creating a presumption that these key clients are moving to quickly distance themselves from the company and break Jensen Huang's stranglehold on the super GPUs. If only they could. Now, think back to when I last interviewed Jensen. I asked him directly about this competition multiple times because I knew it was coming. Each time he made several things very clear. One, these companies will remain great clients. Two, right now he simply can't give them everything they want purely because he can't produce enough chips to satisfy demand. And three, he's doing his best to help these clients develop these kinds of semiconductors. He can't understand what's the big deal. He comes in peace. Who's Jensen Huang? He's a visionary who's delivered on every promise and created $2.3 trillion colossus. Along the way, he's been doubted as if he were some sort of alchemist, a three-card mining dealer. Now, all I hear right now is that he's the man behind the AI bubble, as though this is the dot-com period all over again, 1999, maybe 2000. That kind of thinking has kept people from making fortunes in the stock of Nvidia. What the heck did Jensen and his team need to do to earn your trust? How much value does he need to bring out, to create, before people realize that doubting NVIDIA has, in fact, been a very poor decision? He's not the con artist. You know who's the con artist? The bears are. Oh, and those claims that Intel's got the better chip? How dare they?
According to Jensen Huang, the next generation of robotics will likely be humanoid robotics. He revealed this at the Nvidia GTC conference on March 18, where he was on stage with 9 humanoid robots in development. Huang noted that such robots will learn to do many tasks through AI simulations and by observing humans, either in real life or from recordings. He also added that the ChatGPT moment for robotics may be right around the corner. And just like ChatGPT spurred the current AI innovation wave and kicked off the AI stock rally, humanoid robots will also do the same. But before you get too excited, hold on for a bit, because we're about to unveil the most interesting part of this announcement. But before we continue, if you like this type of content, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to stay up to date on everything happening with NVIDIA. That said, back to the video.
Let's drill into each of these companies to try to figure out where you think the real opportunity is. But given all that's going on, who is the big winner in this?
Well, ultimately, I think, we think that in AI, that NVIDIA has such a strong position that that's still our top pick in the compute space. Intel has done a good job of putting out new products. Gaudi, I think, will have a niche role in the AI space, the Gaudi 3 product that they came out with yesterday. But I think what Intel really needs is to stabilize the foundation of servers. And I think that the products that are coming out, such as Sierra Forest and Granite Rapids, I think those products are going to be critical to stabilizing that foundation. I think to the extent that you see the new AI products, we're seeing companies benchmarking against NVIDIA's H100, but NVIDIA is about to ramp Blackwell in the second half of this year. They're on an annual cadence, so they'll have new products again next year. So I think Intel has a role. I think they are an alternative to NVIDIA, but we ultimately sort of see NVIDIA as the premier way to play the AI trends.
But do you see this as a winner-take-all business? And is there an argument that Intel is therefore a value play, or do you just think that they're so far behind that it's just not a meaningful player in this?
Yeah, it's certainly not winner take all, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for Intel. I think when you look at Intel's recent segmentation, where they showed you just how big the manufacturing losses are, I think that really shows you the value around the chip part of the business away from manufacturing. And certainly we're all hopeful that they'll be successful in terms of turning around the manufacturing operations. But the real value is, stabilizing the existing market share in servers. You have significant incumbency value that accrues to that business, and they just need to execute on product. And I think there certainly is value on that side of the business. I think the ambition that they have is to compete with TSMC, to compete with NVIDIA more broadly. And I see that as a little bit more of a stretch, but certainly we see potential value in Intel. And I think the key is going to be to fix the foundational business that they have, and then use that as a basis for attacking.
Okay, then where do you put AMD in this whole situation?
Yeah, well, I favor NVIDIA, but I do like AMD. I'm intrigued to see their MI300 product in AI. They have become the sort of de facto alternative in NVIDIA in the sort of merchant AI space. I think there's some maybe expectations issues around that product for this year. People have looked at the supply chain as being revenue, and the reality is the timing of deployment could shift around. So I think the risk reward's a little better for NVIDIA, but I'm excited to see what AMD can do. And in their core business, I see AMD as still in a share gain position in servers and embedded, these other markets. So, I think we are overweight the stock, and I like it, but I think at this level, I like NVIDIA more.
Okay.
Agility Robotics is a popular company in the robotics industry that has made a name for itself based on its scientific and technical breakthroughs in robotic-legged mobility. This company is shaking up the industry with its advanced manufacturing and logistics automation using the world's best human-centric robotics solution. According to Maloney Wise, Chief Technology Officer at Agility Robotics, the humanoid robots from Agility take up less space than other types of robots because they can dynamically adjust their center of mass to stay upright when moving objects. She also mentioned that they can safely operate alongside human coworkers, adding that the company is focused on the logistics and manufacturing fields, which are markets that have seen labor shortages. But what does that mean for Nvidia? Nvidia is building a comprehensive AI platform for numerous humanoid robot companies, including Agility, Apptronik, Boston Dynamics, Figure AI, and Sanctuary AI. And besides Project Groot, Jensen Huang also unveiled a new computer, Jetson Thor, for humanoid robots, as well as significant upgrades to the Nvidia Isaac robotics software platform. These platforms would allow Nvidia to expand its robotics empire by working with other companies. In fact, it was recently reported that Agility is now working with Nvidia on tools for training humanoid robots. Nvidia isn't exactly building robots itself, at least not yet. Rather, it is providing the tools for all sorts of companies to make their own, meaning that we could expect a whole lot of variety in the robot world in the future. Now, there's one other factor that makes this humanoid robots thing a big deal for Nvidia. A lot of companies are looking to build their humanoid robots sometime in the future, and one of them is Tesla. Tesla has a vision to create a universal robot, a kind of robotic Swiss Army knife that can adapt to various tasks and environments. After Tesla showed off a prototype of its humanoid robot, Optimus, in 2022, the company's CEO, Elon Musk, predicted that the automaker would be able to produce millions of robots sometime in the future. Imagine if Tesla is only able to meet half of this target. Think of what it could happen if both companies collaborate. Tesla would benefit from Nvidia's experience in the efficiency game. Training all those robots will take a lot of power, and Nvidia has the know-how to make it happen without Optimus needing its own personal nuclear reactor. For Nvidia, on the other hand, this partnership would solidify Nvidia's position as a leader in AI, not just for GPUs, but for the whole robotics revolution.
A little bit different from a typical analyst question. If you were advising the administration, Gina Raimondo, who's giving out money, and the Biden administration and others in Washington about how to give out this money, they just gave obviously out $6+ billion to Taiwan Semiconductor. Is that how you'd be doing it? Is it that Taiwan Semiconductor is the only one that really has the skills to do this, or would you be giving more money to typically American businesses, or do we just not know how to make this all happen?
Yeah, well, judging industrial policy is a complex thing, and I have a hard enough time trying to get stocks right. So that's sort of my focus. But I would say, I think it certainly makes sense to do both, which is what's happening, right? That you're subsidizing the current incumbent leader with TSMC in terms of advanced manufacturing. But certainly, I think we're all sitting here hoping that Intel can be a viable competitor in the very high end of the market in the next couple of years. And they've certainly outlined a process technology that should allow them to do that. So I think there's promise in both areas. From the standpoint of stocks, though, we're sitting in an environment in semiconductors where there's at least adequate capacity. Some would say maybe too much capacity. And so no matter how much you're subsidized on that spending, it doesn't necessarily help you from a stock standpoint as much because you're subsidizing spending, you're pulling it forward in time, you're adding fixed costs to a business that already has enough fixed costs. Right. So for us, we favor the companies that aren't necessarily directly beneficiaries of CHIPS Act because of that.
Final one for you, Joseph. How scared are you that this whole thing is a bubble? That we're living in 1998, 99, and that we're all of these valuations for these chip makers at some point we're going to say we have overbuilt?
Well, there's certainly, semiconductors tend to work that way, and I think you look at this as a situation where eventually will we overbuild AI capacity? Potentially so. But, you asked the question in a way that I appreciate. It sort of, is it 98? Is it 99? I mean, certainly there can be a lot of stock price movement still to come because we're seeing these AI plans being booked out through 2028. You see some of these big hyperscale plans that you see going forward. That visibility is building. The short-term visibility is still getting better. So, this has been a big move for sure. And I think ultimately you have to worry about, do we see a consolidation in the number of companies developing these AI models? But I think we're at least a year away from having that as an imminent concern.
The truth is, everyone is seeing the big picture for robotics, and several companies are already trying to figure out ways to get a piece of the pie. For instance, BMW was trying out Figure's robot at one of its automotive plants, and Mercedes-Benz is testing Attronic's robot for automotive manufacturing. So it's evident that this is going to be a booming market. And as Zeno Mercer, a senior research analyst at RoboGlobal, recently said, Nvidia's move on humanoid robots has helped to validate the nascent market. And when Nvidia's CEO makes a comment and attracts all this attention, no one wants to be on the sidelines. However, while we are very optimistic about this announcement, we'll also like to point out that there are still some kinks to iron out. First, humanoid robots are a huge technology on their own and will require a lot of technical know-how. Also, it is possible that Nvidia would only stick with robotics companies instead of partnering with companies like Tesla. Either way, Nvidia is taking a big step towards the future, a future filled with helpful AI-powered humanoids. And its alliance with these companies will set the stage for immense improvement in robotics, as well as the advent of technologies that have never been seen before. What do you think about Nvidia's robotics plans? Do you think they're going to be successful? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. If you would like to know more latest updates about Nvidia, then go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.